Dub Nation, let's get into it. Because while other teams are stacking rosters, making headlines, and locking in their depth charts, our Warriors are still sitting on the launch pad. And the reason? It all comes down to one name, Jonathan Kuminga. This offseason has been anything but normal for the Golden State Warriors. We've been linked to some of the best veteran names available: Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, Seth Curry, even a possible Gary Payton II reunion. And yet, we haven't pulled the trigger on a single move. Not one. Zero trades, zero signings, just rumors and "we're monitoring the situation" talk. And if you're frustrated, I get it, because we know this team isn't done. We know the front office has plans. We know Steph still believes in this squad. But right now, everything is frozen. And the cause of the freeze is simple: the ongoing contract standoff with restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. Now let's be real. Kuminga's situation has been dragging on for way too long. He's a young talent with big upside, no doubt. He wants more touches, more responsibility, maybe even a different role than the one he's had behind Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler. And he's reportedly not thrilled with how the franchise has handled his development. But here's the thing: as long as this deal isn't resolved, the Warriors can't move forward. We're talking about the only team in the NBA, the only team that hasn't signed a single player this offseason. Not because they don't want to, but because they can't. The cap space, the rotation planning, the sign and trade potential, all of it hinges on what happens with Kuminga. And this isn't just about losing time, it's about losing leverage. Because every day this drags on, veteran free agents are getting scooped up, rosters are filling up, and we're left hoping that the guys we've been eyeing are still available when the dust settles. Now, one name that keeps coming up is Al Horford. And I know, he's 39, but if you watched him in Boston's 2024 championship run, you know age hasn't slowed him down. He's still one of the smartest big men in the game, still defends at a high level, still hits timely shots. And in this Warriors system, he could thrive. Think of him as the perfect front court anchor to rotate with Draymond. Not explosive, but solid, reliable, high IQ. Exactly what this team needs. And according to NBA insider Jake Fisher, the Warriors are still very confident that Al Horford is coming. The only holdup? You guessed it, Kuminga. Fisher said Horford and other vets are basically waiting on standby, in full communication with the front office, ready to sign as soon as this contract drama ends. So let's not get it twisted. This isn't a front office that's asleep. This is a front office playing the waiting game. And honestly, that's a dangerous game to play this deep into the offseason. But the part that really stings for fans is the uncertainty. Because we're not just talking about role players here. We're talking about a team trying to reload for one last run. Steph's not getting younger. Butler's already had injury scares. Draymond is 35 and coming off another deep playoff run. If we're going to go all in one more time, the time is now. Not next week, not after training camp. Now. Still, the Warriors remain confident. And you know what? That counts for something. Because this franchise doesn't panic. They've always played the long game. And if that means waiting out a stubborn negotiation with Kuminga to make the rest of the dominoes fall, then that's what they're doing. But Dub Nation is restless. The silence is loud. And everyone's wondering, what's the actual plan? What's coming once the Kuminga saga finally ends? So I want to hear from you. Do you think Kuminga's worth holding up the entire offseason? Would you re-sign him, trade him, or let him walk? And what do you make of the Al Horford rumors? Do you think he's the right veteran to stabilize the front court? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because we're about to dive into what Steph Curry had to say about the upcoming season, and why even with all this chaos, he's still ready to go. While the front office is still sorting out the Kuminga situation and lining up potential veteran additions, Stephen Curry has his eyes on something else entirely: the mission, the games, the grind. The Warriors' 2025-26 schedule dropped recently, and while the headlines focused on matchups and road trips, Curry's reaction was a subtle reminder of why he's still the most professional, locked-in leader in basketball. No drama, no distractions, just straight-up readiness. Speaking with NBC Sports Bay Area's Dalton Johnson, Curry didn't complain, didn't duck the tough questions. He simply said this: "Very interesting and different schedule than what we're used to, just from the patterns of what I've noticed over the last 16 years. But everybody's got to play 82, and we hope to be able to get through it." That's vintage Steph, a player who's done everything. 4 titles, 2 MVPs, all-time leader in threes, and still his mentality is get through it. Let's be clear, this schedule is brutal. The Warriors are staring down 15 back-to-backs, including 5 in just the first 17 games. That's a nightmare for any team, let alone one built around aging vets like Curry, Butler, and Draymond. It means less recovery, less practice, less margin for error. But Steph, he's not looking for sympathy, he's looking for solutions. That tells you everything about where his head is at. He knows this roster isn't done. He knows they haven't made their free agent splash yet. He knows the Kuminga cloud is still hanging overhead. But rather than dwell on what's missing, Curry's focused on what's ahead. October 21, opening night at Crypto.com Arena against LeBron James and the Lakers. That's the tone setter. That's the game that will define how this team wants to start its final run with this core. And it's not just about the basketball. When asked about the schedule, Curry also talked about something deeper: family and familiarity. He said, "There are certain cities I love to go to. New York, Charlotte for me, Toronto, mostly where family is." That's a veteran talking. A father, a husband, a leader who's been through every phase of NBA life. He's not chasing hype anymore. He's chasing meaning. And that's what makes this season so important, because Curry's window is narrowing, but his commitment has never been stronger. So let's take a second and appreciate that. In a league where stars are constantly sitting out, demanding trades or avoiding the media, Curry is showing up, no matter the schedule, no matter the roster uncertainty. He's preparing to play 82 games and compete like it's 2015 again. And that mentality, that's contagious. You know Draymond's going to follow that lead. You know Butler, who's hungry to prove he can still go toe-to-toe with the West's best, is going to follow that lead. You know the rookies, Alex Tuyi and Will Richards, are watching everything Steph does. That's how culture works. It doesn't start in meetings, it starts in habits, in mindset. And Steph's mindset is clear: show up, do the work, play to win. But here's where things get real. If the Warriors don't resolve the Kuminga situation soon, and if they don't land key veteran pieces like Al Horford or Gary Payton II, they risk wasting that mindset, wasting that commitment. Because Curry can lead, but he can't do it alone. This schedule will test every inch of this roster. Back-to-backs, long road trips, East Coast swings, physical matchups. And if the team around him isn't built for the grind, all the heart in the world won't be enough. Which brings us right back to the front office. Curry's tone might be calm, but his message is clear. I'm ready. Are you? So let's talk, Dub Nation. Do you believe this team, as it stands, is built to survive a brutal 82-game schedule? Are we wasting Steph's leadership by delaying critical signings? And how confident are you that this roster will be ready when LeBron and the Lakers come calling on opening night? Sound off in the comments, because next we're going into Chapter 3, what this all means for Al Horford, the rumored signings, and how the Warriors are still quietly building towards something big. Let's break it down. As we wrap up one of the quietest off-seasons in recent Warriors history, here's something Dub Nation needs to hear. The Golden State Warriors are not done. It's easy to look at the headlines, see no signings, no trades, and think this front office is asleep, but that's not the case. Behind the scenes, the Warriors are playing a different kind of game, one built on patience, calculated timing, and yes, waiting for the right domino to fall. And the biggest domino? Jonathan Kuminga. We've said it all off-season long. Until his contract situation is resolved, the Warriors are in a holding pattern. No vet minimums, no bench depth, no insurance pieces. Everything is frozen. But according to multiple insiders, including Jake Fisher, that's about to change. Because once the Kuminga situation is wrapped, whether it's an extension, a sign and trade, or a qualifying offer, the Warriors are expected to move fast. And at the top of their list, Al Horford. Now, I get it. Some fans hear Horford's name and immediately think old, but that's surface-level thinking. The truth is, Horford is exactly the kind of player the Warriors need right now. He's not coming to be a star. He's coming to be a stabilizer. A guy who defends, stretches the floor, makes smart decisions, and most importantly, shows up when it matters most. Don't forget, Horford was a starter on a Celtics team that won the championship just over a year ago. He played huge playoff minutes. He held his own against MVP-caliber bigs. He brings toughness, experience, and playoff poise that you can't teach.